Hello, I have a somewhat rare beer from Resilience slash Shilling up in northern New Hampshire. This is the first beer I ever had from them at the brewery about 3 years ago, and I loved it. When they started canning the next year, they canned it, and it was a little bit of an off batch, but this one seemed really good. I shared some of this batch already with some people. It's 11 days old, uses Mosaic, Simcoe, and Idaho Gem hops. Don't know much about Idaho Gem, but I think it's from the same place that Idaho 7 was invented, or discovered, or created. 5.6% alcohol, and pours very nicely. Head is pretty good, not the creamiest in the world, and I don't think they said they're not going to ship this batch around, but hopefully they do the next one, because I think this might be one of my top lower alcohol hazy pales. Actually a pale ale, 5.6, not Trillium and Pseudo Sue being close to 7% and calling those IPAs. The bubbles are popping pretty fast. Might not stick around forever, but that is a really nice haze. Not murky. Let's pour in the bottom, see if I get some more stuff going on. Yeah, that made it right on the edge of being opaque, but definitely not murky. It has a really nice bright orange golden color. That smells really good. Has some of that candy stuff going on. Just a really light hint of toasty, not quite caramel malt, but quite clean yeast. And it has some berry notes. Not quite grassy. Definitely some grapefruit, but very juicy ruby red grapefruit. And peach, but it's not exploding with the peach rings oniony quality that I get from Mosaic a lot of the time. Yeah, packs in a lot of flavor and finishes with this, lightly toasty. No, actually, it tastes a lot like Honey Nut Cheerios in the finish. Maybe there's some oats in this. But there's a sweet floral quality to it that, in combination with the very lightly toasted malt that I'm betting there's oats in it. Honey Nut Cheerios, I think, is completely oats. That's kind of the flavor it has. It's sweet in the finish, but it's clean for the most part. Yeah, peachy Honey Nut Cheerios on the end there. The mouthfeel is pretty generically smooth. It isn't ultra velvety, but yeah, I guess soft is a good descriptor. The carbonation isn't silky. The carbonation isn't the tiniest perfect bubbles. That's the only thing that's really keeping it from being silky. And yeah, pretty darn low on the bitterness. Let's see if I get a few more gulps, I'll get some. Yeah, it'll build up a bit. But what's nice is that there's some complexity to this beer. It starts off a little different than it ends up, and you get some malt flavors actually, and malt aromas. But it isn't too malty. That's one big thing, is if people say malty for a hazy IPA or pale, it's usually a bad thing. But I just like a little bit of some malt going on in there, especially in a small beer like this that isn't giving a wallop of hops. Really well made, but for some reason I just want a little more bitterness right now. Kind of depends on my mood whether I want lots of bitterness. Probably because it's just a little warmer. That's what I want in the beer, but this will probably be a good beer. By the halfway through it, there'll be some drying out on my tongue. Right now, the finish is almost, it reminds me a little bit of Sloop Juice Bomb. Has that mildly, barely acidic briskness that reminds me of when I have, like Lipton brisk iced tea, where I think that's a super sweet beverage, but they add in some like malic acid or something like that. That I think makes the finish brisk and makes you want to keep drinking it, even though it's super sweet. This has a similar effect. Yeah, almost like you just had some tang, and there's a tanginess to tang, even though it's super sweet. And this would be kind of interesting to compare with Sloop's Juice Bomb. Of course, that one's like almost a full percent bigger. But it seems very similar to me. Yeah, I haven't bought their IPAs in a while because it was always comb over that was available, and I'm getting a little tired of all Australian hops. But then I had a little tasting of that at the brewery, and it's like, this is darn good. Yeah, I highly recommend the Resilience beers. They're a little expensive, but no more than any of the hyped up stuff. The only things that they don't have sexy cans, they don't have hype, they're just kind of just throw their beers out there and they make a lot of them, but a lot of them are really, really special and well done. And this one has some actually unique flavors, maybe in part from the Idaho Gem. Well, this dessert's like 4.25, I feel like, dude. There's nothing wrong with this. It's accomplishing more than you would expect. Bye-bye.